Burnt out, unmotivated, lethargic, tired, exhausted, drained. These are all words for things you might be experiencing when you are in a rut. And even if you're an incredibly happy, motivated, and productive person, there is bound to be a period in your life where every little thing around you feels like an effort. And while it is human nature to not feel like yourself sometimes, to have an off day, sometimes this lack of motivation can get prolonged, and before you know it, you are stuck in this thing called a rut. And it might start with feeling unmotivated and skipping the gym today, and before you know it, skipping the gym turns into 2 days, turns into 3 days, turns into a week, turns into eating more junk food, to feeling less motivated, less energy, and before you know it, you're in a rut and you can't get out of it. My name is Robbi and welcome to this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Jam Fam. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my experiences that I've had to get out of a rut, and also some of the things that I've learned while completing my health coach course that I would love to share with you guys, and hopefully this helps you. I do want to point out that if you're feeling anxious and unmotivated, that is okay. We do all experience this at some times, but there is a very big difference between being stuck in a rut and having depression. So if you are experiencing depression, make sure you do go speak to your doctor and see a counselor. There is no substitute for that. Another thing I do want to say is getting out of a rut is relative. Sometimes it can happen really, really quickly, and other times it may take a little bit longer, but stick with it. You're going to do it. I'm going to be sharing with you guys today my top tips to get out of a rut and little changes that you can make in your life that make a huge difference. One of the best ways to get out of a slump is to find your vision. The times in my life when I've been most lost and overwhelmed and unmotivated is because I didn't have a clear vision for my future and what exactly it was that I was working for. When I was waking up in the morning, I was like, what is the point? Instead of asking what is the point, find your vision. What is your purpose? And when you get to the root of the problem about why you're feeling like you're in a slump, then you can figure out how to get out of it. To help figure out your vision and your purpose, sometimes it goes beyond looking at your circumstances right now and instead thinking about where you want to be. So one of the best ways to get out of a slump is to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and ask yourself some very simple questions that will give you so much clarity. Something so simple as, where do you see yourself in 12 months? What does that look like? And I don't just mean where do you see yourself physically, I mean everything around you. What is your dream job? How much money do you want to have? Who are the people that you want around you? How do you want to be treating people? What does your body look like? All of these types of things, write it down, put it on paper, and it's going to give you so much clarity. And even go beyond that, not just 1 year in the future. Write down your 5-year goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Even beyond that, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And there's a good chance that if you answer these 3 questions, it's going to give you some clarity about what your purpose is. And then you can figure out, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I achieve that? The second way to get out of a slump is to make a realistic action plan. Get the ball rolling, even if it's just a small activity. So often in our lives, we wait for everything to align. You're like, I'll do this when I look this way, or when I have this much money, I'll do this. And we miss so many opportunities. We wait for inspiration to hit us, and sometimes that's not going to happen. Sometimes we have to have the motivation to do it before we get hit with the inspiration. And sometimes completing small tasks gives us momentum to complete larger tasks that we need to get done. So keep it simple. Start with creating a list. Put the most important thing you have to do today. You need a plan. We need to be a man with a plan. If we don't have a plan, if we don't have an intention, then there's no way we can be productive. It's like getting into the car and setting the GPS and not having any idea where to go. You have no purpose. What's the point? You're just going to be driving around, wasting fuel, wasting miles on the car, and there's just no point to it. So when you create a list with little tasks on it and you start ticking those little things off, even if it's something as simple as having a shower, brushing your teeth, getting out in the sun, moving your body for 5 minutes, it gives you a purpose, and that gives you motivation. And that brings me to the third point to getting out of a slump, and that is to get your body moving. Now, if you think about it, the last time you were feeling unmotivated and lethargic and over it, there's a good chance that you were just on your phone for the last 20 minutes, scrolling on Instagram, lost in another world, comparing yourself to other people, whatever it is, watching a movie. Our emotions are being controlled, are manipulated by circumstances around us, not by what we're actually thinking and feeling. Getting up and out of bed or off the couch and exercising is one of the last things in the world that you want to do? What's the point? But I promise you, you're going to feel better, because our bodies are these incredible mechanisms, and when we start moving and exercising, even though we don't feel like it, our brain is going to release dopamine, which is actually one of the motivation chemicals in the brain. So you're going to feel better, and that dopamine is going to push you on. We've talked about vision, answering questions about ourselves to give us purpose and to help us think for the future and get out of the rut we're in right now. We've talked about moving our body, getting that dopamine release, and we've talked about making a realistic action plan. Now we have to implement that, and that is when a schedule comes in handy. Now, making a schedule is such an underrated skill, and honestly, not many of us are very good at it. The older I've gotten, the better and more efficient I've got at doing this. And when I'm saying making a schedule, I don't mean scheduling out your whole week, your month, your year. What I mean is, again, using those small actionable items that you want to accomplish today and getting those done. So let's say, I don't know, you've got to write a 3,000 word paper for work. What I mean is sitting down and not trying to accomplish that 3,000 word paper at once, because honestly, we're in a rut, we really don't feel like it. Let's just sit down and let's write the title. Let's put on some of our favorite music, no phones, no distractions. Let's sit here and let's think about it. Just write the outline. And when you're accomplishing these small tasks, you're going to feel better, you're going to feel proud of yourself, and you may even feel like you want to keep writing because you get into a groove. And we all know that positive reinforcement is a thing with animals. Let's say you're training a dog, but it's also a thing with humans and with ourselves as well. So if you accomplish a task, even something that's menial, you know, brushing your teeth or having a shower, whatever it is, give yourself a reward, give yourself a rest if you need it, because being compassionate with ourselves, especially when we're going through something so vulnerable as we are, is very important. It's okay to give yourself a break, but just don't get stuck there. So creating a schedule with consistent daily actions, things that we're doing every single day, you know, getting up at the same time, this creates routines, and routine then drives our lives. Another way to get out of a slump is to maintain relationships that inspire you. So instead of pulling back into yourself, have discussions with people around you that inspire you, that elevate you, that make you feel motivated and productive, whether that's a relationship with a friend or a family member, or somebody around you that you can have these hard discussions with, someone that is going to motivate you and inspire you and meet you exactly where you are. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. This content is a little bit different than the type of content that I normally create, but having been stuck in a slump so many times myself, I wanted to share with you some of the useful pieces of information that I use to get out of these slumps, some of the little tips and tricks that I have personally used and work very well for me. And as always, guys, don't forget, you got this. I will see you guys very soon.